Previously, in the last session, what we have discussed, package manager. Yes. So in this session, we'll discuss about the concept of HTL. So HTML templating language. So basically, this is a special language which was introduced by Adobe, previously called as an Slightly. So to implement a component. Previously, from the AEM 6.0 on AEM 6.0 version onwards, we'll be using this HTL templating language only. So HTL. So to implement the component using HTML. So before AEM 6.0 version, so we used to implement the component using JSP, Java Server Pages. So if you want to implement the component now as well in the JSP, we can implement, but it takes more time usually to implement the component in JSP. And if you have the knowledge on Java only, you can implement the knowledge, you can implement the component on JSP. So for now as well, so we can implement the component in two ways. But in the from the AEM 6.3 version, so most of the cases we'll be implementing the component as an HTL level. So by using an HTML extension, we can use the HTL to implement the component. So initially, this HTL language has been introduced in the AEM 6.0 version. Okay, so but it was strongly recommended to use from AEM as AEM 6.3 version. So now we are using 6.5. That's why in most of the cases we are implementing the component using .html. So without this .html, with the help of the .html extension, you can write this HTL, which is nothing but HTML templating language. So why we are going for HTL? Because so HTL is a language which is for the front end. Okay, so if you are going for this HTL, so then we'll have a clean separation between the presentation layer and the business logic layer. So presentation layer is nothing but which is viewed by an user. Okay, so suppose if I want to display something or if I want to perform some actions here. So inside this one, maybe this is a desktop screen which the user is viewing. So this is nothing but the presentation layer. So inside what will be displayed inside this presentation layer? Whatever you write inside the .html file we are creating, so that .html file will be displayed inside this presentation layer. So in order to display them, if you are making any business logic, maybe consider if a component is there. So whenever a particular date is met, so that component should expire. Or if a particular what I could say a home banner is running. Okay, maybe for an offer we are running a banner. So after some days, automatically the banner should be removed so that the offer so that the users can know the offer is not existing anymore. Okay, so in order to get these cases which should be performed automatically, so with the help of the business logic we can do that. So basically we'll be writing a Java code like a sling model servlet or any action we are trying to perform. So we'll be performing inside the backend, which is called as a business logic layer. So and then we'll be connecting the backend and the front end, business logic layer and the front end using multiple things. If you are writing a servlet, we can write an Ajax call. If you are writing a normal Java class like Sling model, so at that time with the help of this HTL only, we can connect the front end and back end. So here, when you are going for the HTL, so then you'll have a clear separation logic between the presentation layer and the business logic layer. So whatever the custom business logics you are writing, so then you'll have a clear separation. But when you are going to implement a component using .jsp extension, so Java Server Base extension, so at that case, .jsp is more similar like Java, and you will have and then if you don't have a knowledge on Java, so then you cannot understand this .jsp language. Okay, so if you have to implement the component in JSP, so then you need to have a knowledge on business logic. So without knowledge on Java, you can't implement this JSP directly. So that's why in most of the cases recently we are moving to HTL to implement a component for these different for these several capabilities it is having. So then you'll have a clear separation between the front end layer and the back end business logic layer, so that the developer or the content owner who is viewing the current component to implement, so then he'll not have any what I would say. So then he'll not have any confusion between them. So inside this one, if you are implementing the component, if you are implementing the front end presentation layer using templating language, and then if you are going inside this HTL, so these are the different advantages we are having. So security, development efficiency, and development efficiency means it can be developed in very less time. So whenever you are developing in very less time, so at that time the cost will also be reduced. And Java knowledge is not required to HTL. So that gives us a clear separation between the front end developers inside AEM and then back end developers inside the AEM. So without writing the HTL, without getting a required knowledge on Java, so they can still implement the HTL with the front end HTML language. Okay, so here inside this HTL, what we are using in most of the cases, we are using dollar curly braces. So either to inject something or either to implement a component. So we are using this one, right? So dollar curly braces is something we are using. So which is nothing but dollar curly braces is an expression. So we call this as an expression inside the HTML. So with the help of this expression only, we are able to inject the dynamic content inside the HTML. So how we are injecting the dynamic content? So maybe I'm having a dialog. Inside this dialog, I have one field. So maybe name is one field I'm having. And then internally, it has some properties. So in order to get this field inside the dialog, I have to create a node and I have to create a node and I have to perform some properties also I have to insert for this particular node right inside the dialog. So maybe JCR or maybe field label to give a name to the field. And then name is one property where I can store the data. So here maybe consider name is the value name or name is having a text here. Okay, so text dot slash text we are having. So if I want to read the dynamic content which is storing inside the content node. So whenever we are entering some text, where it will store inside the content node inside the CRXT. So in order to read the data from the content node to the inside the component, so at that time, how we can read this one? So with the help of the expression language. So dollar curly braces and properties is one object we are having. So with the help of properties, I have to call this variable. So properties dot text, it will read the text. Properties dot title, it will read the title. Properties dot first name, so it will read the first name. Okay, so anytime we are going, so we'll be using this HTL, and then with the help of this expression language only, we can render. So dollar curly braces and then properties dot your variable name. So properties is nothing but it is a global object, okay, which is already existing in AEM. It is a global object and it is existing in AEM. So to get these properties, we can simply perform this action. So we'll see under which variable it will create. So how it will be creating this properties variable to read the data. So going forward, we'll perform or that action or we'll see that action. So right now, we have to mainly discuss all the things is which is going inside the dollar curly braces, because any action we are performing to read the content, we are performing inside this expression only. Okay, so inside this expression, it only allows three variables. Okay, so three types of variables only you can create, or three data types only it will allow. So first one, it will allow the boolean, that means true or false value, and then number it will allow. It will allow only a whole number. You can't insert a fractional number. It will allow only whole number. So boolean, number, and string. So which is nothing but a sequence of characters. So if you want to create an array as well, so you'll be creating of these three. So Boolean array you can create, number array you can create, and a string array also you can create. So only these three types of variables are allowed, and then one array is allowed. So the array type of the array should be Boolean array, number array, string array should be the type of the array. So that's what you can write. So the only these three literals are allowed inside this expression language. Maybe if you are trying to print a date, okay, so consider if I go for any component or any time when you are creating any node inside the repository, so at that case what happens here is it will add some metadata like jcr created by, jcr created when. So all these properties it will try to add, and when you are adding these properties, so then it will give you an example. Okay, so it will add one date property. If I go inside the crxt, maybe if I go for Marvel components, and button is one component I'm going on. So inside this button component, if you observe here, so JCR created is one property we are having. Okay, so which is a date property. It is a metadata which is AEM adding, or which AEM events are adding this metadata whenever the action is performed. Okay, so at this case, what happens is, suppose if I want to read this date, so it is displaying the date, and if I want to display the same date inside the a page. Okay, so inside the en page, when I drag and drop the component, I want to display this date. Okay, so you can say that it is storing the data inside the jcr column created, and then we can directly call this properties dot jcr column created, where it will read the value and then it will display the date. All right, but when it comes here, so you, as it only allows these three variables like boolean, number, and string. So other than these three variables, it can't allow anything. Okay, so, but if you are printing a date format, so date does not come under number. Okay, so date is a separate format. So if you want to print this date, then what happens? You can't print the date. So other than this, if you are printing any type of, other than this, if you are trying to inject any type of data, at that case, it will print a random string. Okay, so it will not print any value. It will print a random string or a random message. It will try to print. In some cases, it will not print any value as well. So those cases only you can use them. So, but in order to overcome these issues, we have formats. Okay, so either if I want to insert a fractional number, or either if I want to print a date, or either if I want to concat strings, because it is not a programming language, you can't concat two strings, which is nothing but combining the value of the two strings. So you can't perform that action. So in order to perform these actions, HTL has separately introduced something called as a format. So with the help of the HTML formats, you can perform these actions which are restricted here. So like concatenating two strings, or printing a number in the decimal format, or to print the date format. So with the help of the HTML formatter, you can include them. And when it comes to operators, all these operators you can use. Logical operators, logical not, logical and logical or operator you can use. And then ternary operator. So ternary operator is something which is within a single line, you can include an simple if else condition, right? So if you want to execute a simple if else condition, so then in a single line you can go for a ternary operator. So condition, we'll be writing the condition, and then whenever the value is true, it will print the true value, and whenever the value is false, it will print the false value. Okay, so if the condition is true, true value will be printed, and then if the condition is false, so then logic inside the false condition will be executed. So that is the ternary operator we are having. And then comparison operators, equals to, not equals to, greater than, less than or equals to, greater than or equals to, all these comes under the comparison operators. So what does it mean by the grouping parenthesis? So this grouping parenthesis is nothing but, if you are having a lot of if maybe consider if you are having a lot of things like you want to write multiple statements. Okay, so not a single condition, I want to perform 4 to 5 statements at the same time. So in order to perform 4 to 5 conditions at the same time, so at that case, with the help of the grouping parenthesis, you can do that. So you can specify one single condition inside this parenthesis, and this becomes a one condition, and this becomes another condition. So if you want to write multiple conditions, so then with the help of the grouping parenthesis you can do that. And when it comes to relational operators, inside this relational operators, we have one relational operator which is nothing but in is one relational operator. Okay, so consider you are having a string. Okay, you want to identify a character inside a string. Okay, so in case if you want to identify a character in a string, or if I want to identify a value inside an array, so at that case, with the help of the in operator we can do that. So in operator gives us the permission to identify value inside a string or to identify a value inside a string of arrays. So that's what you can. So these are the operators which will be allowed in the case of expression inside the expression, which is nothing but dollar curly braces. Only these actions we can perform. So in order to perform these actions or in order to write these things, like I want to use an operators, but if I go for HTML, HTML is a markup language. So which will just display whatever the things you write, right? Suppose if I'm writing an equals to, if I'm writing greater than or equals to, it will try to display only greater than or equals to. It will try to display only whatever the statements we are trying to write. Okay, because it is a markup language, you can't perform any logic inside this one. So in order to perform these expressions, okay, so in order to perform the logical operators or in order to perform the literals, so inside the expression language, not only inside the expression language, HTL also introduced some custom HTML attributes. So where we can perform multiple business logics, like performing these actions. So very small business logics you want to perform instead of going for the backend every time. So what we can do is we can perform some small business logic inside the HTL with the help of the custom attributes which HTL has provided. So as a part of HTML, HTL has provided 13 different custom attributes. Okay. So HTL has provided 13 different custom attributes. So I'll show you. Um, okay. So HTL is introduced with 13 custom attributes it has introduced. So as a part of these custom attributes, so you can perform multiple actions. Okay, so small business logics if you want to perform, so you can perform small business logic inside these custom attributes. So first of all, what does it mean by an attribute inside HTML? So what we can consider as an attribute? Okay, so consider I'm having one condition. Okay, so h1 class hello equals to um, hello world is one thing we are writing backslash h1. Okay, so h1 class is equals to hello, and then whatever you see hello world is nothing but the content you are having. So if you want to display this class, so so this is a single statement. So we can divide this single statement into three parts. So one is an HTL tags. Okay, so h1 is one tag in a HTML which is predefined. Okay, and then class is one attribute. Class is called as an attribute. And then hello world is nothing but the content we want to display. Okay, so hello world is nothing but the content which is a static content we can display with the help of the hello world. So with the help of the HTML we can only display the static content. Okay, so this single statement can be divided into these three parts. So one is a HTML tag, second one is an HTML attribute, and third one we are having the content. So this content, whatever the content we are having, so we can make this content a dynamic with the help of the HTL expression, right? So dollar curly braces, whatever the content I am displaying here, so this content we can make it as a dynamic with the help of the authoring dialog which is given by AEM. And then this content we can read that with the help of the dollar curly braces. Okay, so when it comes to the class is one attribute. So class is considered as an attribute. So class is also a predefined attribute. Suppose if I want to create one some custom attributes, so at that case HTML has provided one format. So if you want to create the custom attributes, so then with the help of data hyphen author name. Okay, so data hyphen author name is one custom attribute. So if you want to create any custom attributes, so you have to initially use data hyphen. So when you are using data hyphen, so at that case HTML allows you to at that case HTML consider this as an custom attribute we are creating. So data hyphen author name, data hyphen first name. So whenever you want to create any custom attributes, so at that case with the help of at the start you have to use data. So when you are using data, so at that case, it will be considered as an custom attribute. So as a part, as I said, Adobe has introduced 13 different custom attributes for the multiple different advantages. Okay, maybe consider I want to call some Java classes. Okay, so at that case you can perform data hyphen. You have to create slide custom attributes. So first one we are having data hyphen SLY hyphen test. So data hyphen SLY hyphen test is one custom attribute where you can perform simple if else conditions. Okay. So if you want to write some simple if else conditions, so then with the help of data hyphen SLY hyphen test, you can do that. Maybe you want to call some Java classes inside the front end. So at that case, with the help of data hyphen SLY hyphen use, we can do. So data hyphen SLY hyphen use is one custom attribute where you can include the Java classes. So similarly, data hyphen SLY hyphen. So repeat is one custom attribute, and then we are having data hyphen SLY hyphen call is one custom attribute, or test use is repeat. So call is one custom attribute, and data hyphen SLY hyphen template is one custom attribute we are having. Okay, so six, and then data hyphen SLY hyphen text is one custom attribute. So every time when it comes to AEM, so the custom attributes inside AEM will be starting with the help of data hyphen slide. So data hyphen slide is considered as a custom attribute here. So data hyphen SLY hyphen item. So item is one custom attribute we are having, or so not the item, set is one custom attribute we are having. And then uh, data hyphen SLY hyphen, no, list repeat, test unwrap. So unwrap is one custom attribute we are having. So similarly, we also have another two to three attributes, which I can't recall now. So we'll be discussing, I'll be recalling going forward. Okay, so now in this case, what does it mean by the data hyphen SLY hyphen test? Okay, so with the help of this data hyphen SLY hyphen test, what we can do is, yes. So with the help of data hyphen SLY hyphen tester, it is like a simple if condition inside Java. Okay. So you remember if condition, right? So whenever the condition is true, it will execute some statements. So if you want to perform this if condition inside the HTL, so then with the help of data hyphen SLY hyphen test, you can do that. So data hyphen SLY hyphen test, so then it is considered as an if condition. If condition you can perform. So at that case, if I'm coming here and then if I go inside the CRXT, okay, maybe consider, I'll show you an example. My weekend is the project we are implementing, and then components. So we have implemented one demo component. Okay, so inside this demo component, inside the .html file of this demo component, so we are injecting some data, and then it is displaying some content as well. Okay, so we'll check the dialog, then content items, tabs, and tab 2. Okay, some items we are having. Okay, so I'm commenting this one, and then uh, so right now we are discussing about the data hyphen SLY hyphen test. So which is nothing but an simple if condition you can perform. So right now whatever I go here, suppose if I write H1 and then so title I'm displaying. So I'll write as title colon dollar curly braces properties properties dot title. Okay, so how the value is storing inside this one? So it is storing in the form of title only. So simply you can call this name variable. So properties dot title, and it will call the title, whatever the data that is storing inside this title variable inside the content node. It will print the title data. But when you come here, so this title will be displayed regardlessly if you are trying if the field is inserted or not. So if the properties of title is inserted, or if it is not inserted as well, it will try to print the title, because this is some static which we are trying to print. Okay, so in this case, in some cases we don't want to print like this. Okay, so I want to check a small condition. If the title is authored, whatever the title that we are entering, if this title is authored, so then only I want to display, otherwise I don't want to display the content. So at this case what I can do, so instead of writing like this, so I'll write h1 So what condition I can use? So I have to use an if condition, because if it is ordered only, I want to display. Otherwise, we don't want to display. So in this case, you have to write inside the dollar data hyphen sly hyphen tester. So what I'll be doing is, so instead of printing the title like this, so I'll take an attribute here. So h1, so data hyphen sly hyphen test. So data hyphen sly hyphen test is equals to dollar, in the double quotes you have to mention. So dollar curly braces, and I have to read properties dot title. Properties dot title I am having. So now what happens here? So first this data hyphen sly hyphen test condition will check whether this particular property has been ordered or not. So if it is not ordered, so at that time it will not display anything. So what I'll do is, so title, I'll display some text. So title author backslash h1. So if I go to the page, so over here, so if I go inside this demo component, it is not displaying anything. So why it is not displaying? Because we haven't entered any title. So now I have entered the title. So once I have entered the title, what it is displaying? It is displaying the title is authored. Okay, because this is the statement I have written, and I have checked it for the condition. Whenever this particular condition is true, so then only it should print this title. Otherwise, it should not print the title. So not only checking a properties dot title, maybe if I want to compare the value as well, I can compare. So what happens here is, so data hyphen sly hyphen tester will check whether the value is ordered or not. So right now the value is ordered, so that's why it is printing title is ordered. Okay, if I don't, if I'm not authoring the title, okay, so whatever the step I'm having, so I have removed this one. So if I'm removing this one, so whatever the value I want to display, so the value is not displayed. Okay, so when you ordered only, it will get displayed. So initially, if I want to check here, so then with the help of data hyphen sly hyphen properties dot title, you can do that. So data hyphen sly hyphen test is a simple if condition where you can perform that action. So maybe if I want to, again, if I want to display something, or if I want to check if I want to check whether if the value is ordered or not. So at that case, with the help of data hyphen sly hyphen test, you can do that. So maybe I want to compare a value. So if this properties dot title contains the same value which I want to have, okay. So maybe inside this properties dot title, I want to check whether the search is there or not. So only such character is there or not, I want to check. So then simply what I can do, so I can use an equals to operator inside the comparison operator, so which will be allowed. So I can use this operator when then it will try to check whether the such property is there or not. So whenever the such property is available, so that whenever the such word is available, so then only it will print title is authored. Otherwise, it will not print title is authored. So right now, what happens here is, so we have a large statement. So not only search, I'm having an entire search software solution, which is a different value. So what we are doing is, so we are checking for equality. So when we are checking for equality, should be same. So without a same, so you can't enter, right? So right now, if I'm trying to give the only as search, so at that case, it will display. So S should be small because we have given small. And if I click on enter, so then it is printing title is authored. So we are checking for a small condition here with the help of the assignment operator. Okay, equals to. So then you can use the not equals to as well. You will just change the operator. Comparison operator you will be changing. So now why it is not displaying? Because the data inside this one is equals to such. So that's why it is not printing. So maybe if I use capital S, so at that case it is printing. So which is an not equals to operator. So maybe consider we are just printing some data. Okay. So this is some random title I am printing, or some random text I am printing. So instead of printing this random text, or instead of writing this one, if I want to inject the data, so whenever the condition is true, so if I want to inject the data as well, I can inject the data. So what does it mean by the injection of data? Maybe I want to display the description, and then I want to display the image. When the title is ordered, I want to display the description and I want to display the image as well. So then what you can do is I'll take that is inside a container. So div, and then I'll also take this as well inside a container. And then instead of printing the value, instead of writing some random text, I'll print the value. Okay. So if I want to print a description, I'll go for a paragraph tag. And then how to print the description? So dollar curly braces and properties dot title. So where it will display the title. Sorry, not the title. So title will display the title, and we are going for description, right? I'll name it as description. I'll name it as description. Suppose if I want to display an image, so at that case you can display the image. So image or src equals to, you can get the path of the image dynamically with the help of the path field inside the dialog. Properties.image is one thing we are having, and then it is a self-closing tag. So if I want to specify any alternate text as well, you can specify the alternate text. So alternate text, I'll specify the title. Okay, properties.title. So right now it is printing search. Okay, so why it is not printing anything? Because we haven't given any description as well as we haven't given any image as well. So that's why it is not printing anything. So if I click on OK, so right now it is printing the image as well as description it is printing. So when it will print, if the value inside the title, okay, so if the value inside the title is not equals to search, okay, so small cases search, if it is not equals to, so then only it will print. Maybe if I match the condition which we have written inside this one, so at that case it will not print the data. So that is how you can use an relational operators. Okay, so comparison operator, which is nothing but equals to and not equals to we are using. Maybe consider I want to restrict the characters. Okay, so in the properties dot title, I want to restrict the characters, how many characters it is having. Okay, so inside the string, it is a sequence of characters, right? Maybe I can have a 5 characters, or I can have 10 characters, or I can have 15 characters. Okay, so I want to restrict the number of characters which are inside the inside this title or dialog. So if I want to restrict as well, so at that case we can restrict. So properties dot title is there, right? So now what I'll do is, so I'll mention, so this is the string I want to get. So then you have to mention that inside the string. So properties dot title, and then this should be mentioned inside the single quotes, and then here you have to mention what is the length. So length should be greater than 5. So whenever the title length is greater than 5, so then only it will display, otherwise it will not display. Mm. So go inside this one, and SURG, it's greater than 5, right? It's yeah, I'm using greater than 5, it should be means 6. So search, I'll specify double is error including copper rafts. Comparison is also noted for number. So properties of title we are giving, then it is printing 5 characters. So title, we are having title, right? So properties of title. Okay. I'll check that once. So basically, if I want to restrict the characters as well, you can restrict the characters. Okay. So how many characters if I want to enter? So those characters you can restrict with the help of properties dot title, and then it will be restricted to that characters, and then you can perform the condition. So whatever the conditions you want to perform inside this test, I can perform all the conditions, and we can actually get the logic out of this condition as well. So that's what you can do with the help of data hyphen SLY hyphen test. Okay, so we have a lot of operators here. Okay, yeah, so that's how you can display. So dot length is one member we are having, right? So if I want to read the how many characters inside the string we are having, so that's one property we have to use, which is nothing but length is one property we are having. So right now maybe it will display. So how many characters we are having? So with the help of the member length we are having, so we can get this one. So we'll try to check whether the issue is there. Okay, so if it is equals to 5, right? So that's why it is not displaying. So now the character is equals to 5, it is displaying the image. So we have to use this member, that is length is one member we have to use. So without the length member, you can't get an individual characters. So dollar curly braces properties dot length. Maybe you are restricting it, if you want to restrict it dynamically as well, we can do. So maybe if I want to have the characters greater than 5, so at that case you have to specify greater than symbol you can use. Whatever the comparison operators which HTL is allowing, so all the comparison operators you can use inside this data hyphen SLY hyphen test condition. So once if you are using all the comparison operators, so then you can perform multiple actions greater than, less than, greater than or equals to, less than or equals to, all actions you can perform. Maybe this is something static I am having. So whatever the length I'm having, so if I want to restrict this length inside the Java class, okay, so inside the Java class, consider I have defined one variable. So we haven't discussed. Maybe I have defined one variable inside a Java class. So private type is one variable I am creating. Okay. So this is how we can create a variable. So we have to specify the data type, right? So without data type, we can't create a variable. So private int title length is one variable I have created. So if I'm using an access modifier means what type of variable it will be? It will be a private variable, but what type is it actually? So we have three types of variables, right? So that means which type of variable? Global variable. In the global, uh, static or instance, it is non-static variable, which is an instance variable. So private int title length is one variable I am creating uh, inside the Java class. And after creating the variable, I'll restrict the length here, maybe 4 or 5 character, whatever the length I want to restrict. So I'll be restricting here. Suppose if I want to call the data, so at that case, properties dot length, and the data is inside this one. Consider we have created an object. Maybe AEM component is the object I have created. So AEM component dot title length is one variable I'll call. So then at that case, whatever the variable length we are having, so this title length also we can restrict dynamically with the help of the sling model, which we haven't discussed. So once discussing, you can get like this one. So AEM component is an object I have created. So to call this variable, to call the instance variable, I have created an object and I have called the instance variable title dot length. So what it will return? It will return an integer, okay, which is nothing but 4. So instead of specifying it statically, we can also get that value as dynamically with the help of the properties dot title, so which can restrict the length. So that's what you can, these are the different conditions. So these are some of the conditions you can specify inside the data hyphen SLY hyphen tester. So small conditions, every time if you want to implement small conditions, so at that case, instead of going for the backend, you can directly implement that with the help of the HTL. Okay, so after that we are having one more operator, which is relational operator we are having. So in is one, excuse me. So in is one relational operator we are having. So this in is what we can do with the help of this relational operator is you can check whether a character is available on a string or not. So maybe consider I'm writing a properties dot title, or maybe I'm writing such I'm writing. Okay, so in this case, if I want to check whether a character is present in a string or not, so at that case, with the help of the in relational operator, we can do that. So a is one character. I want to check inside ABC. Okay, so at that case, here that is how you can specify. So whether a in ABC is available or not. So whether it is true or not, you can check. So maybe inside this condition, if I want to check, so data hyphen SLY hyphen test, and then I'll remove this one. So not only for title, actually you can implement for everything. So not only for title, don't get confused. Okay. So I'm just showing for title. Okay. So right now I want to check whether the value search is present or not. Okay. So whatever the character they are entering, so I want to check whether the value search is available or not. Okay. So search, what is the operator we have to use? In is the relational operator I'm using. So search in properties dot title. Okay. So if the value search is available in properties dot title, so at that case only it should print. Okay. So we can components and demo it. So demo details. So now in this case, what happens is why it is not printing search we are giving. So maybe any error, evaluation error, properties dot title. We are mentioning that inside the double quotes. So search in is one property and then so that becomes a string, but okay. This will return true because inside the properties dot title we are entering search. Uh, okay. Uh, so data hyphen SL hyphen test to search properties dot title. In ABC or stuff error it will return. Yeah, in the double quotes is missing, right? So you have to mention the double quotes as well. Yeah, so now it is printing the image as well as text. Why? Because so in the search software solutions, it has contained a value. Okay, search we are specifying. So it is checking the sequence of characters and then because it is only comparing the value, it is not comparing the entire value. It will check whether inside the value what the user has entered, if this particular value is present or not. So inside the entire thing, so whether this value is present or not, it will check instead of comparing entire one. So that's what you can do with the help of this in operator. So specifying a character, just checking whether a character is available inside the entered text or not. Maybe after some time, maybe we are having an array. Okay, so if I go inside the content node, so inside content, and then we can use en, and then go inside this one and try to go to your component. So demo is one component we are having. So inside this demo component, maybe consider we are having an array. So right now we are not having any error or we consider we are having one multi-field. So if I want to iterate the data of a multi-field, which is storing in the format of an array, so we can iterate. Maybe I'll create one array here. So fellow is one array I'm creating and then I'm giving the value as string. So value is a string. And then I want to give multiple values, right? So because array can hold multiple values. So in order to give multiple values, so at that case here we are having an option of multi. So when you are selecting an option multi, so at that case we can give multiple values inside an array. So I'll give as AEM and then Java and then slightly HTL I'm giving. So this is now this becomes an array. So how it will store the data? If you observe here, it is storing the data in the form of an array. So if you want to check whether the value is present inside, whether one value is present inside this array or not, so simply you can use like this. So AEM is the value which is present inside properties dot hello or not. So if it is present, so at that case it will print. Okay, so right now we have hard coded this value, but initially we don't hard code the value. Okay, when we are having a multi-field, so that multi-field data we are iterating, so we can't hard code this value. But currently we are hard coding this value where I can directly entering the data inside this properties inside the content node. So which is not an usual case. So hello AEM Java HTL is the value we are specifying, and properties dot title will be read as this one. So properties dot hello will be reading this value, and what it is doing, so it will check whether the specified value is inside the array or not. So that's what you can do with the help of the relational operator to check whether a sequence of characters is there, or whether a particular character whether an value is there inside an array or not. We can compare that with the help of the in as a relational operator. So after that we are having formatter. Okay, so what does it mean by the format? Okay, so this option can be used to concatenate two strings. Okay, you can't perform these actions maybe because it is not a programming language. You can't use the method like string.concat method to concat two strings, or else you can't use the plus operator to add the values of two strings, right? So because it is a markup language, we are just including the dynamic content inside this one. So in order to concat two strings, or in order to perform an action like this, so then with the help of the HTL format you can do that. So inside this one it only allows three variables, right? So three literals it will allow, so string literal, number and boolean. So in this case, if I want to if I want to get, or if I want to have the concatenate two string values, okay, so which is nothing but I want to concatenate properties dot title as well as properties dot description, two values I want to concatenate. So at that case, how we can do that? So with the help of the format only, we can do that. So at the rate format is one thing which we have to use. So I'll write a condition here. So H1, so inside this one, so data hyphen, so no need of this one. So I'll directly write. So dollar curly braces. And what I want to have is, I want to have title and description combinedly printed together. Okay. So the title I want to print together as well as the description I want to print. So in this case, what I have to do, I have to concatenate. So inside, if you want to concatenate, so at that case, whatever the statement you want to concatenate, you have to mention that inside the format, because this is the one I have to format it. Okay. So inside this format, what I want to do, so you want to concatenate with static message. Okay, so maybe I want to concatenate with component of is the string I want to concatenate, and then that string I'll be specifying inside one. So this placeholder will be replaced by the 0th position of the format. Okay, so here what I'll do, I'll mention properties dot description. So when I'm mentioning properties dot title, so at that case, what happens here is, so right now it will concatenate the title. Okay, so component of such software solution would be the output. So this placeholder will be replaced by the specified value we are trying to print. So now it is specifying component of such software solution, because this is some statics message I have specified to concatenate. Maybe I want to concatenate more than one. So in this one, I want to specify one more as well, which is nothing but description. So at that case, you have to mention that inside an array, because it is more than one value, right? So when it is more than one value, you have to specify that inside an array. So properties dot description I want to print. So now it will compare. So now in the component of title as well as component of description, it will print both the things. So if you observe here, a component of such software solutions, and then L'Oreal Ipsum is the description we are having. So this is the description it is printing. So such software solution is the title, and this some random text is the description. So maybe you don't want to replace with the placeholders. Here we are having a component is one a static message I'm printing. So I don't want to get this static message. So simply what you can do is you can just specify the placeholder. So 0 is the first placeholder which will replace it by the first value, and then 1 is the second placeholder which will be replaced by the second value we are having. So you have to confirm like this. So then only you can specify this one. Okay, so that is how we can concatenate two strings inside an array. So it is concatenating title as well as it is concatenating an text. So maybe I want to print some date. Okay, as I said before, so every time when you are creating something or when you are adding, so at the content node, one property will be created. So JCR colon created, so which will contain some date. So JCR colon created is one date property we are having. So if I want to print this date property, so I can't print it directly because HTL does not allow a date format directly. So I want to print paragraph and then dollar curly braces. I want to read that property means you will be following the same way, right? So properties dot JSON colon created. So if it is a metadata as well, if it is storing inside the content node, you can directly call that with the help of properties. Properties dot JCR colon created and then backslash p. Okay, so right now, if I try to print this one, so it will not print any value, or else it will print some direct static string. It will print. Otherwise, it will not print any value as well. Okay, so properties dot jcr colon created is the value we are having. So if I want to print this format, if I want to get this inside a date format, so what you have to specify is at the rate format because I want to format this one. So in order to format this one, you have to specify that inside at the rate format, and here you have to specify what format I want to get. So I want to get inside the date format and it should follow this one. So year, and then I want to follow month. So Y should be capital and then M should be capital and D should be small. So first it should print the year, second it should print the month, and third it should print the date. So in the reverse format, we have to print this one. So now if I go down at the end, if you observe, it is printing the date. So previously it is not printing the date, but currently it is printing the date. So if you want to if you want to print the date as well, so then with the help of the HTML formatter, you can print the dates. Maybe you want to print the numbers in the decimal format. Okay, so decimal format is not allowed, but still if you want to get the numbers inside the decimal format, so at that case the same thing with the help of the formatter you can do that. So at the rate format we are having, and then inside this at the rate format, so we'll check whether any number field is there or not. So items, tabs, items, or tab 1 items, and then number we are having, so it will be storing inside the dot slash number. So at the rate format equals to properties dot number. So properties dot number is the value we are having, and it should print the number. So by default, it's a normal fractional. It is not a normal a fraction number, normal number, right? A whole number. So you want to make that as a fraction. So in order to make that as a fraction, you can directly use hashtag at the start. So hashtag will be replaced by the value which you are specifying inside the smart format. Okay. So in the number field, we are entering the value that will be stored inside this format, and then it will be replaced by the hashtag. So in the single quotes, you have to specify in the single quotes, just come inside this one. In the single quotes, hashtag dot double zero. So now that becomes an static number. Okay, so double zero is the decimal number we are having, and that double zero becomes an static number we are having. So properties dot number. So this properties dot number will be replaced by the hash inside this decimal value. So if I order the value inside this one, inside this number field, if I'm specifying 50, and then if I click on OK, so then it is specifying 50.00. Maybe if I want to specify 42, so then it will specify 50.42. It will specify 50.42. It is specifying. So if you want to print the data inside the fractional point, so in that case, with the help of the formatter only, you can do that. So with the help of these three formatters, you can print the data in the decimal format as well. So after that, we are having some global operators. Okay. So we are using this properties dot title or properties. As I said before, properties is one object we are having. So what does this properties object actually containing? So who is creating this properties object? Okay. So here global objects, so we have some of the global objects which are created by Adobe. So these are predefined ones where you can directly use to perform some action instead of creating some statically. Maybe if you right now I want to read the data from the content node. So we are using the properties predefined object. So when it will be created, when this object will be created, or when I'm able to use this one. Okay. So this if I observe the page node, okay, so inside the content we are having the page node, right? So content, we can use en, and then inside the en we are having a container. Okay, so let me observe this one. So right now if I make a request, if you observe the request from where it is serving, so content we can use en dot html. So whenever we are having this one, whenever HTL or Apache Sling is executing this request, so automatically it will create an object. Okay, so for the content inside the CN page. So for every content inside, for every JCR content inside the CN page, what it will do is it will create one object which is nothing but properties is one object it will be created. So when you are automatically, when you are using properties.title, as actually the request is already been served by the Apache Sling. So at that case, what happens? So for this property, for this node, what object it will be created? It will be created an, it will be created a properties object. Maybe if I want to get the page properties, okay, so inside the en, inside the jcr content we have a lot of properties. Okay, so while executing this en node, what it will do, it will create one object called as an page properties. Okay, so with the help of the page properties I can read the properties of a page. If you want to read the data inside the nodes inside the page, so at that case properties is the object we are creating. Okay, so for this route it will create a properties object. So for the en it will create a page properties object, and for the us as well it will create the one object which is inherited page properties. Okay, so consider, I'll show you an example. So if I want to read the title, if I go inside this en, inside the en we have one title actually. So inside the jcr content, so page title we are having, select the en. So JCR colon title is one property we are having. So I want to read this JCR colon title property. So just copy this one. And if I try to read properties.jcr colon title, it will not read. Okay, so with the help of properties, what we can read? We can read the data inside the nodes, but you can't read the data inside the page node. So this is a page node. So P of page or title colon dollar curly braces properties dot JCR colon title. So properties dot JCR colon title, and then what I'll do is backslash P I'm specifying. Okay, so now it will print the JCR colon title on the page. Do you think because we are using the properties object, it will not print the JCR title? Okay, if you observe here, page title is being left empty because with the help of the properties object, what I can do is I can read the data inside this notes. Okay, but in order to read the data inside a page note, what object it is creating? So during the execution, page properties is the object it is creating. Okay, so if you want to read the value, so then with the help of the page properties object, we can do that. Okay, so instead of properties, call with the help of page properties.jcr title. So then it will print the JCR title which is inside the content node. So if you observe the title here, it is printing en. Okay, maybe consider if the JCR title is not available here. Okay, so here we are having the JCR title. That's why it is printing the JCR title. Maybe if I don't have the JCR title in here, but still I want to refer to the parent page. If it is not available on the same page, what I want to do is I want to refer to the parent page and I want to get the value. So at that case, what I'll do is I'll delete here. Okay. So once I have delete here, if I go to the EN page and refresh, the title is empty. Okay. Okay. So if you observe here, the title is empty, but I don't want to get an empty title. I want to get the title from the parent node. Okay. So parent page, I want to get the title. So at that case here, we are having one more object, which is inherited page properties. So with the help of this inherited page properties, I can get the object from the inherited pages. So if it is available on the current page, it will print the current page data only. So when it is not available on the current page, so at that case, it will try to go to the parent page and it will try to fetch. So now if you observe the title is US. Okay. Maybe if the title is present inside this one, which is a JCR colon title, and then I'll give the navigation as English or search hyphen, search hyphen English is the value I'm giving. It's not a multi one. It's a single one. So now if I refresh, we are using the same object. Inherited page properties is only the object I'm using yet. But still, if you observe, so it is printing the title as search hyphen English because this is the title we are giving with the help of the inherited page properties. This inherited page properties object, what it will do, if the value is not available, so at that case only it will try to print inside the dialog. Otherwise, it will not print inside the. Otherwise, it will go to the parent page and it will fetch the value. So, similarly to fetch the data from the design dialog, so we have the current style object. So, if you want to return any data of the page, so whatever the page you are currently in, if you want to return the URL of that page, so then with the help of the current page object, we can do that. So, resource page object is also one thing we are having. So, maybe if you want to retrieve any page related information inside your backend, so then with the help of the page manager is one API we are having. So with the help of the page manager API, you can retrieve the data inside your backend. So similarly, component is implementing with the help of these API. So these are some of the APIs which are available. So who is responsible to create these objects? So if I go for the properties or page properties or inherited page properties, this is the API we are having, and these are with the help of this API. These are the objects of this API. So which is nothing but value map. Okay. So RG Apache Sling API resource dot value map is a predefined resource we are having, and for that resource we are create Apache Sling is creating the object. So usually these are the nothing but, so properties is nothing but the object of the value map class. You can simply inherited page properties or page properties or properties. All these things are objects of the value map class which Apache Sling is created. Okay, so either current style or current page or resource page. So all these objects are of the style object or the API we are having. So these are the objects which are related to this one. So resolver, suppose maybe if I want to get any node, okay, so resource is one resource we are having, or resource resolver is one object we are having. So if I want to retrieve any information inside your backend Java classes of the current resource, maybe I want to access a node. We are having a lot of nodes here. So if I want to get a one node inside the backend Swing models or servlets or any other cases or the OSJ services, so then these are the objects we are having: request, response, resolver, resource. So these options we can have to get a resource inside the repository. So that's what you can perform. So these are the different block statements we are having. So right now what we have discussed about data hyphen SLY hyphen test. Okay. So after that we are having one more node we are having data hyphen SLY hyphen use. So what does it mean by the data hyphen SLY hyphen use? Okay. So in case if we want to create any objects, okay. So if we want to create objects, create objects. So at that case, we can go for data hyphen SLY hyphen use. So what objects we can create? So we can create an object for multiple things. Okay. So maybe if you want to create for the Java classes, you want to create an object for the Java classes or JavaScript classes or JavaScript. If you want to create an object, so then or an HTML file you want to create an object. Okay. So at that case, with the help of data hyphen SLY hyphen use is one attribute we are having, and then with the help of that custom attribute we can create an object for the Java class, we can create an object for the JS file as well as the HTML file as well. We can create an object. So how we can create? So simply you can follow this syntax. So diff data hyphen SLY hyphen use. Okay, so use is the object we are having. So data hyphen SLY hyphen use is the attribute and then dot model or anything. So dot example. So now what this dot example becomes? So this dot example becomes an object. Okay, so dot example is an object and this example will be created as an object. So for this class I want to create, maybe I'm having a Java class. So for that Java class I want to create an object. So what you have to mention here is, so you have to mention the name of the Java class. Okay. So fully qualified name of the Java class you have to mention, which is nothing but package name dot class name. So com dot search dot weekend and a page model or demo component demo component model is one model I'm having. Okay. So for the demo component model, I want to create an object. Okay. So this example becomes the object of this particular field which is available, this particular Java class which is available in your backend. So during the creation, if you want to create an object for the Java classes, for the HTML file or the JS file, so then with the help of the data hyphen SLY hyphen use, you can do that. So similarly, like for the HTML file, if you want to create, so for the HTML file you want to create an object, or the JS file you want to create, so then you can simply specify like this one, demo.js you can specify. So demo.js, for the demo.js file, example is the object it is created. So that's what you can do with the help of data hyphen sly hyphen use. Okay, and then we are having, so that is about the data hyphen sly hyphen test and data hyphen sly hyphen use. Okay. So and then we have discussed some of the global objects. So in the next session, we'll try to discuss the remaining custom attributes which are available for the Adobe. So any questions? So all of you have completed the assignment. Assignments.